And then we got into the topic. So let's get into this and go through it as best we can. Huge focus on economy, middle class, jobs. And President Obama making the case, we've already made up about half of the we've made half of the deficit reduction that we determined we wanted to make from tax breaks and cuts. We need to stop the automatic cuts that are forthcoming as part of the sequester on March 1st. We need to do something else. And in talking about jobs, one aspect I liked, there were a lot of things I didn't like, but one thing I liked was a big difference with the Republican Party right now. President Obama conveyed the impression that he has ideas for creating jobs and reviving the economy instead of just talking about the deficit and reducing the deficit as a kind of completely disconnected aspect of the economy. He has an idea for let's create jobs, let's stimulate certain industries, and let's actually grow the economy, which I thought, Natan, was a very welcome change from what we've been hearing from the Republican Party.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to get into whether any of these things are likely to happen,
right,
which is a totally separate story.
Yeah. And one thing I did not like when talking about jobs in the economy was President Obama speaking very negatively about special interest tax breaks and wanting to eliminate them. The reality is, in the last few days, he has actually offered some special interest tax breaks. He offered $150 million. This is the Advanced Energy Manufacturing Tax Credits for clean energy and energy efficiency. And I agree with this in principle. The problem is the credits have gone in huge amounts, 8 figures in some cases, to the most politically connected companies, including Cree, GE, and Siemens. If they're doing this work, that's great. But it's the same circle of the companies that support him end up getting the credits. And I just don't like that at its core.
Right. I mean, one could argue that these are the companies that have the resources to do what needs to be done in that department. But still, that connection is a little unsettling.
It is. And then mentioning gay rights right away, he mentioned doesn't matter who you love in the first few minutes. I thought that was good. At one point mentioning equal benefits for all military families. I support that. John Boehner doesn't clap. John Boehner doesn't even move when that's mentioned. Then he got into climate change and science, talking about self-healing power grids. I think this is the first time in a State of the Union address we've heard the term human genome, Lewis. I was very interested in hearing that. But then I said, wait a second. President Obama is talking about futuristic sounding stuff, science and investigations to a place that's basically half filled with Republicans who are living in the 1850s, or if we're lucky in the 1950s at best. Bringing up science is just going to confuse them.
Right. And what was the reaction? I mean, did they...
It was very muted. Yeah,
right.
It seemed they didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, I mean, it's good to hear from our perspective. I mean, it's good that the president acknowledges that there is this thing called science.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people in the country need to hear that.
The one concern on the science and climate change stuff was President Obama using the term market-based solutions to climate change. That concerns me because I believe it leads back to drilling in the Arctic, Natan, as part of whatever solution he's proposing.
You know, I wouldn't mind drilling in the Arctic in the short term as part of energy independence for the U.S. if in the medium and long term there was an aggressive push for new technologies into an eventual alternative energy market.
I would only be okay with that, Lewis, if it was written in black and white before any Arctic drilling starts, that it ends soon and how it ends and when it ends, and that's it. It ends full stop. That's the only way I would even consider wanting something like that.
Things that are in writing, that doesn't mean that that's
so
going
maybe
to
even
hold
that
on.
isn't worth that much.
I'm against Arctic drilling because once it starts, it's not going to stop until all of those resources are depleted.
I'm against it as well. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the only way where I would even be open to the idea would be if it was very short term, very limited, and with a specific end date. And as Lewis says, that can be circumvented. On education, President Obama saying preschool for everybody. Republicans don't want that. They didn't clap, and they really don't want that because the earlier education starts for children, the more likely it is that they're going to realize people like Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and Sarah Palin make absolutely no sense. That's not what the Republican Party wants.
They want less education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, overall, a lot of suggestions here that involve new spending, but President Obama doesn't want the automatic cuts. This will only work if the economy really does grow, and we need to figure out if that's going to happen.